Good evening. Before I begin, I just want to say I first heard about the Tea Party movement in 2009 when Rick Santelli put out his call over CNBC, taxed enough already. Following that, groups sprang up all over, and in Huntington Beach, John Cormie organized Surf City Tea. I wasn't involved then because I was busy writing a book, or trying to write a book. I finally self-published it, and I thought it had a very clever title, The Cognoscenti, the ruling class that thinks it knows better than the rest of us. Well, the topic is right, they exist, but the title hasn't attracted anybody. In fact, some folks aren't even sure how to pronounce cognoscenti. So I haven't sold a whole lot of books yet. When I finished that, though, I did become involved with Surf City Tea. John Cormie moved away, and like so many volunteer organizations, no one wanted to take over. So by default, I said, okay, I'll do it. My wife tells me I've been like that ever since I was a small kid. I was always the kid in class who raised his hand and said, yeah, I'll do it. Since then, we've had a series of programs. If any of you have any friends or family or acquaintances that live in Huntington Beach, Fountain Valley, Seal Beach, whatever, that find it too difficult to come here, I have some information on the back table. Pass it out to them. They're welcome to come to our meetings. We meet the fourth Monday of each month at the Elks Lodge on Talbot Avenue in Huntington Beach. So with that, let me get into tonight's topic. Mr. Chairman, fellow Tea Party members and guests, Ted Cruz, a conservative winner. Last month, many of us in the Tea Party movement were disappointed by the 5-4 decision of the Supreme Court legalizing same-sex marriage. Of the Republican candidates, Ted Cruz is the most knowledgeable candidate about the Supreme Court. If elected, he would appoint justices like Scalia, Alito, and Thomas, who would protect Christian values against the ongoing onslaught of secular atheists. Ted Cruz's major hurdle is overcoming the opposition of the mainstream media and their antipathy to his strong conservative values. The mainstream media embraces modern liberalism, and that's becoming increasingly anti-Christian. Can Ted Cruz be elected? As I thought about the answer to that question, Winston Churchill came to mind. First of all, they both exemplify excellent speaking and writing skills. Winston Churchill started his career as a journalist, reporting on combat in Cuba, 1898, Africa, and in India. After he was elected to Parliament, he published several books. Then in 1953, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature for his histories of World War I, World War II, and the English-speaking peoples. His oratorical skills are legendary. Ted Cruz, at age 13, memorized the entire U.S. Constitution. Professor Alan Dershowitz at Harvard Law School said that Ted was off the charts brilliant. Not too long after that, he became Solicitor General of the state of Texas, and he argued successfully in front of the U.S. Supreme Court 9 times. Here's one example. The plaintiffs were claiming that the International Court of Justice decision should apply to their case. Ted Cruz argued that International Court of Justice decisions have no basis under American domestic law, and furthermore, the president has no power to enforce that. Texas won by a 6-3 decision. His speaking skills are well known. He can give a short speech or a long one without any notes and without a teleprompter. Second, both have not been so well liked by members of their own party. Winston Churchill was elected to Congress, to Parliament at age 26. He was perceived as the beneficiary of a prominent family name. He apparently didn't get along too well with some of his fellow party members. When he became First Lord of the Admiralty, his decision in 1915 to invade Gallipoli proved to be a disaster. Ted Cruz was elected to the Senate at age 42. He was perceived as the son of a pastor, kind of uppity. In September 2013, he spoke for 21 straight hours against Obamacare. Many in his party were not pleased about his filibuster. Third, both of them possess a strong moral compass. Adolf Hitler despised British Prime Minister Anthony Eden and claimed, quote, he would throw Eden down the stairs and stomp on his stomach, unquote. Eden's feckless claim, peace in our time, by signing a treaty with Hitler in 1938, still resulted in a war 1 year later. Churchill's party chose him to be prime minister, and he served successfully throughout World War II. His speeches inspired the British people. We will fight them on the beaches, and we will never give up. Today, the rulers in Iran have open contempt for President Obama. Like Anthony Eden, Obama and Kerry are so desperate to get a toothless treaty that in all likelihood it's going to foment an all-out nuclear arms race in the Middle East. In contrast, Ted Cruz has a moral compass. He will reassure our allies. He will inspire the American people, and he will make clear to our enemies that a red line means a red line. In order for Ted Cruz to get elected, however, the American voters are going to have a jolt somewhat similar to what happened to the British in 1939. American voters are going to have to be appalled by the prospect of a Middle East conflagration. They have to be stunned by the impact of spending $1 trillion a year, every year, adding it to the national debt and setting up economic chaos. Ted Cruz is a progressive winner. Like Churchill, he's a capable speaker and writer. Like Churchill, he's not liked so much by members of his own party. And that relates to the fact he has a moral compass, like Churchill. After he's elected in 2016, Ted Cruz will appoint justices to the U.S. Supreme Court that uphold the values that we share as members of the Tea Party movement. Mr. Chairman. Okay, here's where we do a song and dance. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Ted Cruz was a debate champion at 2 colleges.
That's correct. He was a debate champion at both his undergraduate school, Princeton, and at Harvard. In fact, if Ted Cruz has any problem, I think it goes back to when we were all in maybe grammar school or high school. The smartest kid in the class. Did you really want to hang out with him? and unfortunately, as much as he tries to soft pedal it, he really is the smartest kid in the class. Yes?
He was born in Canada. How do you resolve that?
That's not a problem because his parents were American citizens. He had to claim, he had to actually go through some paperwork to get documented as an American citizen. But he's more of an American citizen, I believe, than some other people I can name, and I don't want to get into that. Any other questions or comments?
Who supports him today?
Who's
backing Ted Cruz?
I don't know.
I barely know anything about Ted Cruz.
Yeah, I don't know who's backing him. He has some $30 million or so that's come up. Somebody is serious about it.
Yeah, quite a bit more now.
More than? Does anybody know the name of or the group or individuals? I'm sorry, I don't know the name.
I know this. We're promoting a guy I barely heard of, and who's behind him?
Yeah.
You know who's behind him?
Everything he said so far, I'm behind.
Not you, but who's supporting him to get him elected?
Ron. The name is
Jeff?
Grassroots.
Grassroots?
Grassroots are supportive of it. People like you and me. That should be
Yeah. But as I pointed out, the press, the media, anything and every time they get a chance, they slam him because he stands for things that they object to. And that's why I tried to make the point. We've really had a cultural revolution in this country. Modern liberalism has taken hold, and it's not going to go away.
Well, who's speaking for us then?
The only
We're our
people,
leaders. We don't
yeah,
have any leaders.
the only way we can get people to speak for us are individuals that we elect to city council, state assembly. For example, Matt Harper, who was in city council in Huntington Beach, now he's up in the assembly. We have to start recruiting more and more folks who, John Morlock comes to mind, folks with integrity who are not there because they're trying to make it their job. The idea of a career politician leads into this observation I made about a ruling class. And I was also going to make this remark also. I don't know if you've heard the news in the last couple of days, but because of our money that flows to Washington, it gets dispersed back through the several departments. One of those departments is the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Guess what? They've come up with a regulation that's going to apply to all cities and counties across the United States to have fair housing representation. That means, and I'm not that familiar with Newport Beach, is there some really special affluent place in Newport Beach? Pelican Hill, for example, is that a place? No. Well, okay, Newport Beach. If Newport Beach doesn't pass these new criteria, then they will not get any more HUD money. And how will they get the money? Well, they will set up low-income housing in these areas so that everybody has a chance to live in Newport Beach. This is an example of what I meant by a ruling class that thinks it knows better than the rest of us. Mr. Chairman.